This episode of the Empowered Gymnast podcast is with Keith Stump. He is a gymnastics coach of both boys and girls, all different levels from Buffalo, New York. He's a mentor. He's been a mentor of mine. I've learned a lot about just the sport of gymnastics in general from Keith. He's always looking to improve not only his gymnasts and the people around him, but himself as well. And I think that's extremely well exhibited in what he does with his kids. He has an amazing passion for not only making sure that they improve as gymnasts, but they improve as people. He has an incredible knack for having fun in different ways, whether that's with the team, with the classes that he coaches, with the people that he's around. He's grown up in a gymnastics family, a family that's been in the Buffalo, New York gymnastics scene for over 4 decades, and he's just a wealth of knowledge that I continue to learn from. So, this is our opportunity to share some of that knowledge with you. Keith is a wonderful person. If you want, you can give him a follow on Instagram, and he likes to share a lot of drills and strength as well. Enjoy.
All right, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so I guess first things first, if you could just give the, three listeners of this podcast an intro of, who you are, your competitive experience, coaching experience, whatever you want to tell the people.
All right. Well, I'm Keith Stumpf. I was a gymnast born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I did USA gymnastics through level 10, or, I competed through level 10. I went to Springfield College from 2006 to 2010. I was an All-American on vault in 2007, which is crazy to think about. And then I stayed for 2 years, got my master's in athletic administration. And now I coach gymnastics full time.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Yeah. So a little bit of experience.
A little bit?
Yeah. Just a tiny bit.
Okay. So I guess like first going off of that, what can you talk about like your college experience, like why I guess you chose Springfield, what you liked about it? Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of a random freak accident because I was a horrible JO gymnast. And the idea now that I made it onto a college team is kind of actually insane and like very little guidance. My parents, who own our gym, were really hands off with everything. So they were just kind of like, "What are you going to do next year?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." I had a teammate who was on the Springfield team and encouraged me to like, come down, see the team. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I went on a recruiting trip there. The meet got canceled because of a snowstorm, and we literally like went snowboarding on the dining hall trays and just did the most outlandish things. And I was like, these are my people. Without any idea of what I was going to do there, it just kind of fell into place. So that's how I ended up there. I competed for them for 4 years, which was also a surprise because I went in with a very low skill set, I would say, and I never really thought about form. So that definitely needed to be corrected. But I had an incredible experience as a gymnast there, and it really made me kind of want to bring what I experienced with like the team and the competitiveness and the bond that I had with all those guys and bring it to the level that I coach now and instill that like at least a portion of that because when I went there, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I mean, I couldn't even climb the rope when I got to
Really?
Springfield. So, I was insanely weak just and of my own accord. It wasn't like I had bad coaching. I just when you grow up in the gym and your parents own the gym, your mindset is not overly competitive, or at least mine wasn't. It was just kinda like, "This is something I do." Well, then when I went there, it was something I wanted to do, I had to work a lot harder for, so, kinda with all that in mind, I kinda took that as made that, like, my little bit of a philosophy or, I don't know, the guiding light and to do what I do.
Gotcha. So you like took that experience and kind of molded it into like how you coach now?
Yeah, like, brought it down a little bit in terms of, like, the things you can do. I mean, obviously, when you're paying to go to college and it's not a guarantee to be on the team, you can't exactly hold the kids to the same standard in terms of like, if you're not like hitting this, you're not going to be in a lineup. We can't do that. But I would say more of like the culture of, the brotherhood of having all these guys working for the same thing, but also the expectation of like we're gonna work hard together, uh, which I didn't always have in the club track growing up. There were kids that were better than me for sure, but I wasn't always motivated or held to that kind of standard. So for me, it was more like holding the standard throughout, the team. That was kind of like the big thing I took away, aside from, the culture.
Gotcha. So kind of going off of that, like you mentioned, you know, growing up, your parents owned the gym, and you went away to college, came back, and now you're coaching at the gym. So,
Mhm.
you kind of alluded to some things that like college changed your philosophy a little bit about coaching, but like how also on top of that, how did your like growing up influence like how you're coaching now too?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of went through something I don't think many people do. Like when I was a gymnast, everyone knew my family. Like my grandpa had a gymnast on this 1968 Olympic team. So when no matter where I went, like in the sport at any age, like, oh, I know your grandparents, I know them. And I mean, it was awesome, or my parents themselves. So there's a little bit of pressure with that in terms of like, all right, like, you know, they know my own name. It's like, and it was kind of at the time with our girls team and what my grandpa had done, they started the first private club in Buffalo to have, like, this expectation of, I'm sure he's pretty good, and I was not very good. And I think my parents, like, their perspective, like, they were kind of focused on what they were doing, and they never really brought gymnastics home, like, at all. I can count on, like, one hand how many times like, we would talk about gymnastics, my gymnastics, like, at home, and I think that was helpful to keep me in the sport, but also, like, there were times now as an adult, I kinda wish they cared, not that they didn't care, but were a little bit more of, like, "What are your goals? What do you wanna do? Do you wanna make nationals next year?" And have those kind of important conversations because I just was there because I loved doing gymnastics and it was in my blood, but I didn't necessarily have, like, the guide and focus I think I need it. I'm also very, very ADHD. So like my attention span, probably from this video, you can tell, goes in waves. So I think having a little more, guide from my parents would have been helpful. I don't know if at the other end of it would have been too much, and maybe
Right.
not, reach the peak that I did because like I said earlier, it was really my decision that I was going to go and do this. And I look back on it and I'm like, that was like a huge thing because I was not very ambitious. I did not do well at nationals. I think my senior year, I was like 360th out of, 365. And then my other
Yeah.
2 teammates I ended up at Springfield with were like number 359 and 61. Like,
Yep.
so, it was just like this freak thing that happened. But um, I don't know. I think taking all of that into perspective and, going to college and kinda going there with the idea that I'm on my own now and I'm like, I'm not at my home that I literally grew up in, really changed me and made me realize, like, I had to work harder, I had to do the numbers, I had to learn how to climb a rope because I was too weak to do that, and kinda take that struggle that you go through and the amount of times I'm like, "I don't think I can do this," and self-doubt and learn how to mold that and, like or how it figured out how it molded me, and then kinda, like, take those pieces and, bring it back to the gym. I mean, move from college, I think the biggest change when I first got back, and I started helping my parents with their optional girls was just numbers, like, as you know, there's days they don't wanna do or athletes, they don't wanna do the numbers, they don't wanna make routines, but the importance of being prepared, it goes hand in hand with being successful at a meet. So I would say, like, the numbers aspect of doing a certain amount of numbers and bringing that out of it and not making a lineup, but, like, in some sense being like, "Okay, I've done what is required of me to compete." Which is a little bit of a hot take sometimes with some people or some coaches, but I mean, I don't wanna go to a meet with somebody that's not prepared, for their safety, but also
Right.
for, like, keeping them in the sport, their mental health of being like, "Okay, I'm gonna go and throw this, and I haven't made any routines with it," like, that's not fun for anyone, which I kinda did that in JO, so, taking that out of it and taking that stress out of it, I think has been a huge thing. Working with my parents is, it has its up and downs. I'll never say anything negative about it, but I mean, you have to have a very good bond, with the people you work with, but also with your family because it's not just, mom and dad, it's mom, dad, and co-coach and, boss and all the things that come with that. So that's an interesting dynamic. On the boys' side, I only work with my brother, so and he's only there a few days a week, so it's not as much of a family dynamic, but yeah, it's that we could talk for 40 hours about that. I swear it is not that interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
No, I'm
I don't know if
sure.
that answered your question, though.
No, it does because there, like you said, there are inherent challenges to everything, and whether you're working with your family or not, it just adds another like layer to it. Um,
10 layers.
yeah. Did your parents ever like directly coach you, or was it just that they happened to own the gym
No.
that you?
Yeah, no, so my mom and my dad, they coached the girls team.
Okay.
So I had a different coach they had brought in at some point in my early career. So I pretty much had the same 2 coaches for, like, my whole, upbringing, which is great 'cause, we had really good relationships with them. But no, they never coached me. They coached my sisters, and I watched that enough to know I never wanted to coach my own
Yep.
kids. Like, it was bad. And not
Yeah.
bad and, like, it just, like, you're a kid, and you're like, "Well, I don't wanna do this today," and then it's not your coach that's talking to you, it's mom and dad, and
Right.
or the dual layer of that, and yeah, God bless them for that.
Yeah, I know there are some success stories to like parent gymnast, but there's also probably some strained relationships because of that. So it's very interesting. But and then now, like speaking of, now you're kind of on the flip side because you have a son in gymnastics.
Mhm,
I know he
crazy.
this was his first competitive season.
Yeah, yeah, first level 3 D2,
Nice.
7 years old.
And how are you enjoying that?
I mean, I do really enjoy it because he's very similar to me. I always tell everyone he's got, like, the worst parts of me, but also, like, the good parts, but, like, the worst parts highlighted. And I think knowing how much gymnastics helped me focus and, find a passion for what I do every day, I hope that for him. And I've seen progress with him, just, like, his enjoyment level in general and just, like, his ability to focus has been so much better from doing it. But he's like I try to keep him of a different path going forward, like, what or, as he was born, like, I didn't have him in the gym every day, like, I lived at the gym. Like, I literally, like, when there was no babysitter, we would all go to the gym. I'm one of 4, so I quite figuratively, like, grew up there, like, literally. Where with my kids, like, I've tried to always, if I was at the gym, my wife was at home or vice versa, or, have a babysitter just to keep a little bit of separation, and I think it's helped with him understanding the difference between, like, it's time for practice now and then time for me to just go and hang out at the gym. Because in my brain, there was never a separation from that, and
Right.
I'm sorry to my coaches, but reality is I did not know. So, it's been fun. I mean, I'm really fortunate where I have an assistant coach that coaches him predominantly right now, and I coach him on Saturdays, and it's fun, but, like, there's times I'm like, "I'm gonna kill him," you know? Just because as a coach and dad, you want, like, the expectation that you're holding of everyone else, you have to hold it of your own kid, and it's like, it shouldn't be that hard, like, they can do it, but,
Yep.
he's young. It is fun. I hope he sticks with it, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make that happen, but at the end of the day, if it's not his thing, it's not his thing, I hope it is. It's too young to tell right now, we got a lot of
Yeah.
time.
No. Yeah. No, it's cool that you're like you kinda, like you said, learn from where you were, like, because there's always those stories of the gym kids that live at the gym, and like you said, they have trouble separating, practice time versus, well, when mom and dad bring me, I can just, jump in the pit or
Oh, it
jump
was
the
hard.
trampoline.
I mean, even when he was in like, even with that separation for him, like, during COVID, he was, like, in Mommy and Me, and then after that, he, like, transitioned to, like, a preschool class, like and because my family owned the gym during COVID, like, we would let my kids go run around and just we were the only ones there. And then when it became structure time, it was like, "What do you mean I have to sit on the spot?" And he was like, I just spent, 6 months or whatever, however long it was, wasn't that long, but running around this gym by myself, So I just saw that little tidbit and I was like, "Man," imagine that on, like, a evolving scale of, like, this is all you've ever known, So that was kinda eye-opening with that and definitely solidified my feeling of, like, "Okay, this is not," like, doing what I've done, like, this is probably the better option of the 2. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Makes sense. So you alluded to earlier that you coach both the boys and the girls at your gym. Can we just talk about, like, I don't wanna say which one you enjoy more, but, like, just pros and cons of both, like, how you manage, um, doing both, and maybe
Mhm.
some, like, differences between the programs that you feel is beneficial, if that makes
For
sense?
sure. Yeah, no, I mean, when I first started coaching full time, I had to work my way up. I mean, I level 3 team for the girls, level 4, and I mean, the same with the boys. Like, I was not really in charge of either ever, or, when I first started, it was working from the ground up, and I learned through the girls more. So, like, in girls' world, it's like a lot more technique, it's a lot more stations, like, generally speaking. Form is a huge thing, obviously execution. So, like, I kind of like got those basic tendencies from like those competitive level 3, 4 girls, like, instilling that, or preteen, which I taught at the time, and kind of took that over to the boys. But the difference, and now I don't coach any of the compulsory girls anymore. I just coach the optional girls on bars, for spotting reasons.
Okay.
I enjoy doing both. I'm a type of person where, like, I'll always help anybody that asks. So, right now that's what the gym needs me to do, and I do enjoy it. A lot of those girls have had, like, from compulsories up when I did coach them before, or coach those levels, and so obviously I wouldn't want to stop coaching them just because I have a connection with them, and we've gone through the levels together. Even the new kids that, move up to optionals I haven't, focused on before. It's always nice. Like, I'll work with anybody. Like, for me, it's really how hard you work and what you wanna do, and, I'll always help anyone that wants to work hard. With the boys, like, my group right now, this is, like, I don't wanna say my baby. People say that my babies, like, the kids that I started with when I started coaching, like, this is my group of kids, like, they're all juniors and seniors in high school, and it's like
Mhm.
a full circle moment because it's like you were just 5 and 6, and I didn't even have kids when I started coaching them,
Yep.
so it's like you live this parallel where, like, you've kind of, I don't wanna say raised these kids, but, like, you've gone through a lot with them, and then now you have your kids, and watching them interact. I know that's not really the question, but, like, that's also a mind game too, because 'cause you're like, "Oh my god, like, I used to carry you around 'cause you were having a bad day, and now, you're over here joking with my kid." So that full circle is really cool. I don't know if I necessarily, I mean, I do love coaching the boys. I think that's where my passion is right now, and I think it's just because I've built this program up, um, you know, for since I moved back, and the girls have always had a really good reputation. Not that the boys haven't, but they've always kind of been at a certain level, and I felt like my brother and I taking over the program and me kind of leading it for the last, like, 3 years, like, we've kind of set up a new level of expectation and of accolades that we've achieved, and I think that's right now where my focus mainly is. Like I said, I do coach both, but, I'm the head coach of the boys, so I have a lot more responsibility to answering to parents and setting up clinicians and, whatever it might be, going to all these meets with all of them, and not that I don't go down in the needs, but, it's when you're in charge of an entire team level 3 through your 10s, like, what's expected of you is a little bit more. You're not sending, or at least I can't really send another coach with all of our compulsories because typically we have a bunch of kids, like, we're in 3 squads, so I don't have 3 people at any given moment to go to this meet. A lot's, really on me in terms of, not only coaching in the gym, but making the commitment to go to all the meets with them and, tracking people's progress, having a plan for these kids, like, what we're gonna do next year, which is kind of what I'm doing right now in my free time. Just trying to plan ahead and get ahead of the game. I think planning is like the only way you manage, coaching multiple groups of kids or levels, or in this case, genders, like, it's a lot. I will not say it's easy. I just really enjoy working with everyone. And, if there's a point in time where I can be relieved of, my need for spotting, then, that might happen. But, right now I really enjoy it. So I'll
Yeah.
make it work.
So it's more that you just enjoy, all the aspects of, like, what each, not just gender, but level has to offer, and you wanna, like, keep your hands in everything.
Yeah, I really like the process, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy because some people are like, well, I want, like, looking at the end, like, and my grandparents started our gym. Obviously, they're the first private club in Buffalo in 1978, and, like, there is this immense pride that I feel for our business and our program. I mean, there's not many gyms that have been around that long, and I wanna, if I can help create, maintain our level of gymnastics on the girls' side, which, is been growing and getting better, like, I want to keep doing that, and if I can do that and it's not affecting anything else in a negative way, then that's what we're gonna do. We're very obviously as a family, we're family oriented, but there's really no like cattiness like between the coaches. Like we're all here because we want to do this, And I'm not just talking about my family. I'm talking about the other people that do work with us and work for us. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense because like you said, your gym's been around. I'm looking at the year now. It's gonna be almost 50 years, and, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a gym that wouldn't consider themselves understaffed, and, I mean, you guys have been around for a long time. You have a huge program, so, like, that comes with having good staff that you can maintain. So,
Right.
it shows that
I
you
mean,
guys are not only doing a good job, like you said, of like maintaining a high level, but you're also, keeping your staff, making sure they're happy. You have coaches that are like goal oriented, like they want to build their
mhm.
program. They're not just there to collect a check. So it definitely shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. And that's something like I feel like that's from a leadership point. Like you got to make sure everyone's on the same boat. Because if not, there's a lot of problems in that. And not to say that other people don't have different opinions and this and that. And I think the biggest thing is just when there is I don't wanna say to be honest, I've never had a disagreement with anyone that works for me now, like, we don't really, like everybody is there for the same reason, and I'm kind of the one that's, like, as the head coach being like, "Okay, this is what needs to get done, this is what we need to do," like, if they're on horse and they're not hitting something, it's like, "Alright, I'll go over and be like" or before that practice starts or whatever, like, "Hey, I think we should do this today," and just get feedback, and sometimes, like on Monday even, we're talking about ring positions, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't think we're as strong where we need to be," my brother who coaches rings was like, "Well, I think we're fine." And I'm like, "Well, like, is it gonna kill us to do this little extra bit and add this in, like, leading up to our championship, meet?" And he's
Mhm.
like, "No, we can do it. That's not a problem." So I always try to like, if I'm feeling a certain way or I'm seeing something like it's not the coach's immediate fault, like it's not a blame thing. It's like, how can we work together to fix this? And again, you have to be like a team player to do that.
Right. And like you said, it's not ever really anyone's fault, but you want to optimize things for the betterment of the
Yeah.
athlete.
I'm like a constant. Like, my dad hates me for this, I think, like, I always think everything can be better, and not that and I think the older generation is like, "Well, it's worked this long," or "This is" "helped us get to this point," and it's not a negative thing, like, I don't like, I'm not saying it to be negative, I'm not saying it to put you down, I'm saying it because, like, the world is constantly evolving and growing. I mean, a few years ago, or well, not more than a few, like, there was no Instagram. You couldn't go and get a million drills or see kids around the country doing all this shit, and, like, that inspires people now, or it
Yeah.
teaches you now, one of my coaches says, "Instagram University," where you can go on there and you can learn things, and, like,
Yep.
it's so true. So, like, if you're hungry for knowledge, like, it's there, but that also the double-edged sword of that is, like, other people are gonna come and chase you now because they can get the same information. Whereas before, I feel like a lot of things were gate kept, like, well, unless you worked with, a European or a Russian and who had all this experience and, or even American that had all this experience, like, you didn't really learn things. And there's not a ton of information out there in the men's world to better yourselves. There's like a few platforms, but I mean, a lot of it is just being around, specific coaches or in clinic experiences where you can gain that information. So like when I get those little tidbits, I'm like, trying to like let the other coaches know or trying to, again, feed that information to other coaches so we're on the same page. I mean, it can be redundant, I'm sure sometimes, but like I mean, I never not come in and I'm like, "Oh my god, did you see this? We gotta try this," like,
Yeah.
and not making it like a staple in the program right away, but I'm saying, like, the things that look, like they're gonna help, like, they most oftentimes do if you're using them the right way.
Yeah. And I mean, some things don't always work for you just because they work for someone else, but
Mhm.
definitely trying something new, again, like for the betterment of the gymnast, is always going to be a good thing. Like sometimes it just takes a new, fresh idea, like whether it's the same thing that you've been doing, but packaged up in a different, present or whatever, or drill, um, helps the kid out to get over like a hump or something like that.
Yeah, and even the culture in that too, like, I think that's like, if we, like, kind of circle all the way back to the beginning of, like, what I took away from my Springfield experience was, like, the bond and the culture and, like, the feel like, coming to the gym and be like, "These are, like, my brothers, like, these are my, like, friends. These are my lifelong friends," and that's, like, the environment that we foster, and I don't tolerate anything less than that. Like, you don't have to be a best friend with someone, like a teammate, but, like, the culture of we are gonna respect each other. There's obviously never, like, the little kids, like, putting your hands on each other, obviously, that's a no, but, like, there is so much like, those kids come into the gym and, like, they want to be there, and we have a strict program too, like, we train in comp tops and comp shorts and, like, and pants, and, like, as a junior, senior in college, like, none of the or in college, in high school, none of the kids, like, complain to me, like, "I don't wanna do this," whatever, like, they know that that is part of our discipline of our sport and our program, and it's like a known thing, so there's really there's not a lot of, like, cleaning up you have to do if you have, like, a strong culture and a set standard, it's kinda like the boat kinda drives itself sometimes,
Yeah.
with that way, because there's the expectations are there and people meet them or they don't, and they don't, then, things will work out how they're supposed to, I don't know.
Yeah. That kind of ties into one of the other things I want to talk about. So, like, I coach a boys team. We have 20 boys. Normally, when I tell people that, like, they're always like, 20 boys, that's like a good boys program. And then I always think of you, who has, over two and a half times that. Like,
Uh,
what's the count at now?
uh, this year was 52.
Yeah. So 52. I knew it was over 50. Like, I always think of that and I'm like, God, if I could get to 50 kids, like, that'd be
I mean, the
insane.
number the number you have is really good.
It
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
you look at our state, like, I mean, you do have a especially for being one of the newer programs, like, you've done a great job and you've brought a lot of kids up, and it's awesome, because we gotta keep building the sport back up, but the 52 is actually not as crazy as you would think. One year we had 60, and that year broke me.
Yeah. I bet.
It was that was, like it was a few years back. It was probably, like, 5 years ago, and it just was, like, we had, like, I wanna say 6 six-year-olds on the team, like, they barely turned 6 before the state meet. I think we had, like, 17 level 3s that year, and it was just, like it became, like, this unmanageable beast. I think if we do get back up to that point, like, we have learned from that, and we will make those kinda, changes as we need to, but it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work, and my biggest like, the reason why I have a big team, and it isn't because I want 50 kids, like, I could easily say, I'd be fine with, like, 30. Like, for me,
Right.
it's not really about the numbers, it's we have that many kids that wanna do it, and they can do it. I will never put a kid on team that it will not is not gonna be competitive. So, like, you'll go to a meet and you'll be like, "How did this kid find gymnastics?" Because I mean, and not to say that there isn't a track for him. Like, we don't have a club program, we don't have the junior club. I think it is a great program, and if I had room in my gym, I would have it. So,
Right.
I try to pick or select athletes that I think can be competitive, and I try to stay on the younger side when they join. This year's, like, my oldest team. I had a few older kids in level 3, which is just the way that it worked out. I think in the few years you would have told me you're gonna take, an 11-year-old on level 3, I'd be like, "No, I would
Yeah.
never." Because I was more age I thought age was, like, the most important thing, and I don't really think that anymore, but, anyway, it's a lot. It's a lot of, like, working pieces. I'm always responding to emails, again, planning, making sure all these kids are, where they need to be, making sure, kids are getting there on practice. Like, again, our culture is at a point where, like, I don't have to micromanage a lot of the smaller things like attitude or, coming to practice. Like, they pretty much always do that, and if they don't, like, they're not in our program long. And a lot of them start with me. I mean, I've only had, I think, of the 52, I think maybe, like, 6 or 7 of them came from another program over time,
Mhm.
so it's a lot of homegrown, which is easier with, like, the culture and, like, the work
Yep.
ethic because when you get a kid that's not used to being, watched or expected to, like, if I'm gonna go do this side station, like, I'm gonna watch you and make sure you're doing it the right way, or I'll peek over and, that's not an opportunity to goof off. And in the past, as I've gotten kids, it's hard for them because they're kinda used to the busy work, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go over here, no one's gonna watch me," and then I'll come back and I'll be like, "Well, how many swing handstands did you do over there?" And "I didn't do any." I'm like, "Well,
Yep.
that's" so it can be hard for those kids to, um, I don't wanna say get in line, but, like, know how we operate and how our gym runs, it's with 50 kids, it's a well-oiled machine,
Right.
so we can't really have anyone that's gonna, not help the machine run, and they're
Right.
kids, like, so there's gonna be give and take and, days where are better than others, but I don't know, it's not the number really that I focus on, it's at the quality. And my dad always taught me that you always have to be like focused on the next group. And I've watched like firsthand programs, not really on the men's side, but kind of, where like they focus on like this one group of kids. Like these are my all-star kids, like, and I have nothing underneath them. Well, when those kids all graduate or they decide, like some boys do, like this is it for me, like randomly, I did really well this year and I'm gonna quit because I'm gonna go play football for the first time. And you're like, what are you
Yep.
doing? That happens, like, far too often, but, like, you don't have anything after that point, so then you're like, well, not only are you back you're further than square one, because you literally have nothing. So, and I've watched programs do that. So I've made it a point to that never to be a case. Like I still teach our pre-team. I hand select the 6 best preschoolers I can find that are crazy and can't sit still and allergic to red dye and ADHD off the roof. And I go, come to me. And I work with them twice a week for an hour and I get them to love gymnastics, and they have to wear their little singlet to practice and like, and it's, when they climb the rope, they get a golden dollar and like just different things like that for the first time, not every time because 'cause I'm not Oprah, but, like, finding these little ways to make them wanna come back. Like, this kid just made me this bracelet the other day. He's like, "Can I make you a bracelet?" I'm like, "Sure, I want a red and black one," and then it took a month because he's like, "I can't find the red and black," but, like, every day he would come back and tell me he couldn't find the red and black. I'm like, "It's fine, like, I'll take another color." So it's, like, finding those little ways to, like, make the kids love the sport really young, so then they can get on team and be successful, and that is my group of, like, juniors and seniors right now. Like, I remember the same conversations with them, like, however many years ago, and it's freaking crazy,
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
like it's almost like raising a kid of your own.
It is. It truly is, and I mean, the love I have for these kids is like my own children, and I mean, and and the one thing is like I'm not afraid to show emotion. Like if I'm upset, like they know it's from from like that dad being like, I'm disappointed in this, which I can honestly say I've really never had to do, maybe like one or two times, and it was like outside of gymnastic stuff that they were doing, and I was like, come on, but, like, in the gym, like, they know I care. I'm there every day. I'm there early. I always have a plan, like, they know that I'm invested, and when there's been times where the kids, like, are having a hard time or, like, they're just something's not right, like, I'll say, like, "Do you wanna do this?" We'll have that conversation, and, most oftentimes it's, "Yeah, I wanna do it." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm here, okay, and this is what you're telling me you wanna do, and you're over here. So we need to be we need to do this together. We need to figure out what but you're not understanding what I need you to do, and it's a partnership. And I say that. I go, we can't be partners if one partner is only doing all the work, in terms of, asking you to do this and holding that expectation. Like I had my gymnastics career. Were there things I would rather, I wish I could have changed? Sure. But I don't hold regret about that or resentment in any way. If anything, I want you to not have to experience what I did because I didn't listen.
Yeah.
So it's like and there's some kids that are more receptive to that, and there's others that, they're gonna find out at some point, but you try your best, that's what I do. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
No,
kind
I
of a
get
long segue.
I really resonate with that last point because I agree, like, I wasn't a great gymnast, but there were a lot of things, like, that if I could go back, I would change. And I sometimes I joke around with the kids that I coach that, like, my biggest goal is for you to not have, like, the holes in your gymnastics that I had. Like, I
Mhm.
was really bad
Mhm.
at press handstands, so, like, my kids do a lot of press handstands because I don't want
Ditto.
because it's such an important thing. Like, I didn't really have a great handstand shape, so we work
Mhm.
on a lot of handstand shaping because,
Mhm.
handstands are super important.
It's incredible when you see that beautiful handstand with the toe point, it's
Yep.
like my soul just like Super Saiyan, like I just get charged up.
Yeah. Side note, I feel like you would be a interesting looking Super Saiyan.
Well, I don't know if there's ever been a bald one before. It's giving more Krillin, but
Yeah. Or, like, whether what Nappa would look like if he went Super Saiyan.
oh, there you go. I'm Nappa. Oof.
Yeah. Not
I
the
kinda
number
li
one Saiyan.
Trunks is my favorite, but low key Vegeta is funny to me.
Yeah? how
Yeah.
he's, like, always so upset, but kind of has a
But, like,
heart.
really cares. Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah. I'm not I think that's, like, the opposite of me, like, I'm never really upset, but I have a big heart, so I kinda get that, but no, I don't yeah, I don't know. No,
interesting.
I agree. I agree 100% about, like, filling those holes that you had and, like, being I the only thing I could press handstands, I was, like, 16, you know, and I had a 5-year-old, like, my first group that could do a pike press, like, dude, like, L-seat pike press at 5, and I'm
Yeah,
you know, like and I think that's also what drives me too, is it's like, these kids are doing more than I ever did, and, like, you know, making a college team is, like, really hard right now, and, you know, I have 1 on a team, my first one went to Simpson last year, and then, hopefully one will be at Springfield next year, and, like, it just makes me excited for them because I'm like, I went there with nothing, you know, like gymnastically, you know, and physical preparation and things like that. Like I wasn't very strong. I was flexible, but like I had a major gap in my strength, which was from me being lazy. It was not from anybody else. Um, so like I try to instill that now, like, you know, like you got to do this. It's going to help you get here, whatever. And like those kids that have listened have, you know, made those jumps to being, you know, having those opportunities. And that's exciting. But like, yeah, trust me. And the amount of times I'm like, we gotta do this," because it's like a panic attack in my brain of being like,
yeah,
"Remember when you couldn't press your entire life?"
yep. No, I get that too,
You know?
yeah. I don't want them to have so, I mean, obviously, you know Carl. Carl was my coach in college, and
Mhm.
he used to joke around about one of the kids that he coached that he was like a Swiss cheese gymnast, where he was like I remember the kid, he had really good circles on pommel horse, but he like I don't think he could press a handstand. And
Mhm.
then he had like I don't remember some of the other like, he was a really good tumbler. No, he was, like, really good at swing handstands or something, but he, like, couldn't do a standing back tuck. And he was, like, a level 8 or 9 gymnast or something like that. And I was like when he said that, I was like, "Oh, Carl, I'm a Swiss cheese gymnast too." Like, I had the same thing where I was, like, really good at
Mhm.
some things, but, like, some stupid basic I just didn't have. So
Well,
now that's
and
kinda
I
what I joke around with my kids now.
no, I mean, that's definitely a thing. I've never heard that analogy, but it's perfect. You know, I think a lot of it too now is like from a coaching standpoint, like knowing that there's some athletes that, you know, might never have a great press handstand, no matter how much you work on it, they're deficient in something, you know, and I'm not going to say I'm not the negative person that's like, you'll never be able to do this, but I also can see talent, you know, and capability. And, you know, I think it's from a coaching standpoint, like getting them to do what they can do well and like and be respectable at that level that they're competing at. And that doesn't mean they're going to be winning JO nationals, you know, but like if they love the sport and, you know, they have some talent and you're going to find out what they can do on that event. Like I hated rings because I was very weak until I learned a Delchev. And I was like, I felt like the world it was like because I could never do anything on rings, and I learned this skill that looks sick, and, like, my confidence level on rings, which I'm still was scoring, like, 4s and 5s in the old code, like, it was horrible, like, I'd be
Mhm.
lucky if I got that. My confidence level just went up because I learned this really cool skill, and we go to a meet, and I remember Paul Ruggieri did one too, and it was like we were the only 2 kids that really did that. I'm like, "Oh, that's sick, that's so cool," and I was like, "Alright," like, still good, you know, like, in
Notoriety.
reality right, but in reality, like, the routine was still garbage, but, like, it was finding that one skill on that event that, like, gave me more confidence and the desire to do it, like, that's a huge thing people kinda underlook, and I had actually had this conversation with another coach about someone in my situation who I love floor and vault as an athlete. I also like tie bar too, but floor and vault, like, I could do that all day, and he's like, "Well, how do you inspire other people like those kids to do pommel horse?" I'm like, because there's so many tricks, find something that they want to try to do. Like, you know, I'm not saying get up and learn like this insane travel if you can barely
Right.
do a loop, you know, like, but like there's got to be something on every event where you can play to their strengths. Like they have flexibility, teach them like a scissor hand, you know, not that you don't need strength for that, you do, but like there's things you can play to their strengths on every event and rings too, like a Delchev. Like it's really, you can
Yep.
do like a decent swing. It's just a big straddle flexibility, you know? So it's like finding those different things on each event to like, I don't know, get them like gassed up a little bit. And like right now for us, that's P bars. Like our P bar, we're just moving slow, you know, like, and I have goals. Like I want kids to get, you know, all these different things and it's moving a little slow, but like it's getting them like to try different things. Like I am not a new really skill athlete like during the season. Like I'm like very regimented. This year I've changed it. I'm like, once you get your routines in, like let's try some new stuff. Like I love teaching new things, but, like, I'm a creature of habit, so I'm like, I wanna be prepared, you know? So, like, it's almost like a reward now. Well, not that it wasn't before, but, like, "Okay, get your stuff done. Let's work on this. Let's work on this." And the kids that really are hungry, like, they've been doing more because they wanna get to the other stuff and, like, try different things. Like, Monday, we did some, like, free hip mounts on P-bars for the first time. Like, we have regionals in 2 weeks. Like, I would have never,
Yeah.
but we got done really early with our sets and there's all this time and I'm like, "All right, let's do it." And, like, everybody did them and it was fun, and I don't know when we'll do them again, but, like, I think I don't know, like, my point being is, like, you gotta every group of kids is gonna be a little different, and you gotta find out what kinda works with each group, and, like, that group of that was my 10 group, like, I know how they work and, like, they got it done. I'm like, "Alright, let's do this," and hopefully the next time we're on P-Wars, like, if we do that again, I'm like, "Yeah, let's stick 3 dismounts," like, just finding those different ways to motivate, but also, like, planning for the future.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't know,
yeah,
that was a
that's a
really
good
long
point.
segue.
No, it's a good point, and I agree. It's like regardless of what it is, you gotta find what gasses them up. I mean, new skills are normally the like common denominator. Like everybody likes working on new skills. I mean, like you said, for the little kids, it's that golden dollar to get
Mhm.
them up the rope. So
Right.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
um,
I mean, it's finding all different ways.
yeah. I also want to talk about like some of the stuff that you do outside of training. So I know the thing that like really gets you gassed up is your New Year's celebration.
Oh, yes.
Can you talk about that and maybe just like
Hell
some
yeah.
other cool things that you do, like just
Yeah, for
for your
sure.
gym community?
Yeah, so again, I growing up, my dad and my uncle used to host a New Year's Eve sleepover at the gym, and it was chaperoned by, like, gym parents and staff, and, I grew up with that, and the kids would get dropped off at, like, 6 o'clock, and they'd get picked up at, 9 a.m., and they would wake up all the kids in the morning, turn the lights on, and have the music blaring, and, like, even though we were up all night. So when I got back from college, I was like they stopped doing it in 2000, like, the Y2K scare, they're like, "We're not
Yeah.
gonna do it anymore." I think they just got tired of doing it, which is fair. So I brought it back, and every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And like this, I mean, I've been almost, I think this year we're at 90 something. Last year at 100 kids
Oh,
on New Year's Eve. Yeah. And every year, like now we do themes. We all have like microphones, like Britney microphones. We play games. I go thrift store shopping where I create like the most lavish gifts. And like we have a lot of donations from parents that like just give like random to clean out their house, and they have like unopened toys. And like, I mean, anyone at our gym can sign up to do it. We're siblings of them. And it's like, so, I mean, it's only people from the gym or the gym community, which is good because we don't deal with like really riffraff at that point. It's all people that kind of know how to operate in the gym setting because our gym isn't that large. So, of that many kids, it can be a little crazy. And then we just have staff from the gym or parents, like I said, of like, well, my kid's coming. Like, can I, volunteer? And I'm like, sure. It is literally the most fun I have every year, and honestly, the most fun I have sober because obviously we don't drink at this event, but it is we just play games, we're up all night, and we play Whitney Houston. I Wanna Dance for Somebody to wake everyone up in the morning. So these kids now, like, culturally, like, go through life like, referring to "I Wanna Dance with Somebody" as a sleepover song. Like, "That's a song from the sleepover," like, every time it comes on in the
yep.
gym, or, like, I'll be like, we were on a trip with, at one meet, and it came on in, like, the elevator, and the kid's like, "This is a sleepover song," and so like, just those little things help, grow your culture in your gym, but also, like, I have so much fun doing it. Like, if you're having fun doing something, like, it's not work. People are like, "How do you do that every year?" And I'm like, "It literally is the most fun I have all year." Like, it's so outlandish, like, and all the older kids volunteer, so they get to, like, have that, like, companionship with, like, the younger kids at the gym, and, like, they build forts, and they build, like, this giant slide. I mean, we could go on about that forever. The other thing we just started doing last year, 2 years ago, we did a switch meet, which is, because we have pretty decent optional amount of girls and optional boys. So we split them up, make 4 teams of like a co-ed team, and the boys do the girls events and the girls do the boys events. And they all face off, like the boys do floor routines with floor music, and they do beam routines. And we invite the entire gym to come. Like most of the team kids come from like the lower levels, their families. I have the MC and I'm on the mic, like commentating, like Sam Pezic, or what. Oh, that's gonna hurt his difficulty, and it is literally wild. And like the kids got like the battle paint on, and like whatever their team colors are, and like, those kids, like, love it, and it's such a cool event, it's such a good way to bond with our team as a whole. Like, I know some gyms might have, like, a hierarchy where, like, the girls' team always gets preference or the boys' team I mean, I've never
Yeah.
heard of a team the boys' team getting preference. I mean, even in our gym, the girls, get a little more. There are more of
Yeah.
them, but, honestly, like, in that moment, you would never know because, like, all the parents are there supporting, the amount of parents that come up to me after the end of that, and they're like, "I haven't laughed that hard in so long," and I was like, "Well, me either." Like, that Beamer team was hilarious, I guess it's just finding ways like that to, like, strengthen the bond of the kids, and, like, it's so weird because 'cause they're all in high school. A lot of the kids are in high school, so, like, when they see each other working out, they're like, "Oh, that was pretty good," and it's like I'm like, "Whoa, we don't need any gym relationships here,"
Yep.
It's just funny, but no, those are 2 of the bigger events that we do, and then we do just team bonding, like, the kids get together, or we take a team trip to, like, Canada's Wonderland with, like it's like a theme park in Toronto, or Darien Lake, which is near us, so it's just different things like that that, like I mean, those are the major ones, but I think it's crucial to, like, the culture and of the gym and, like, being happy for one another. Like, after the state meet, my dad, who coaches the optionals, was, like, telling all the girls about how the boys did at the state meet, and then this week, I was at the girls' state meet, and I was telling them about, all the positive things that they did and, how well they did, and so there's just, like, a mutual respect, but also, like, they want each other to do well, which I don't really know of many programs that, like, are that tight, because like, just maybe from just 2 different coaches coaching different things, like, their worlds never really interact. With me, it's both of my worlds, so it's like, I'm proud of both of them, so it's nice to have that relationship because I think that's unique.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I've heard of way too many gyms where it's like a separation between, boys and girls. It's almost like they're, two different gyms practicing in under the same roof. So, I mean, it definitely helps that like you obviously coach both, but even even without having coaches that cross like the gender lines, like it doesn't really take much to have some sort of outside or inside the gym team bonding.
Mhm.
I think that's crucial, not just for like the kids, but even for the coaches too. Like kind of going back
Yeah.
to you guys having such a good like staff culture too. Like it
Mhm.
definitely helps that perspective as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even with, like, because I technically the manager of the gym, so, like, I kinda oversee everything, but, like, even with my rec staff, I'm like, "Oh, did you see this drill?" Or like this, or, like, our girls level 3s this year have been, like, killing it, like, they've been doing, like, such a good job with, like, a younger staff, and, like, I'm always very complimentary of them. I'm like, "Wow," like, when I coached level 3, we never beat this team, we never did that, like, just letting them know, like, what they're doing is important and, like, you can see it, so it's like they're finding value from what they're doing on their own, but then also getting that recognition from, you know, like in this case, I've coached some of the kids that are now coaching, and I'm like, wow, like you're doing a great job coaching. Like Ethan, who was my senior last year, like he was one of the best coaches I've ever had at my gym at 16 years old. I'm like, he's gonna be better than me in like a year, just
Yeah.
because like his discipline with the kids was like insane. Like when I was younger coaching, I was like, you went through like the friend phase, and you're like, oh, they like me, like and then you learn, like, you gotta be harder, you gotta have the discipline, like, he was disciplined right off the bat. He's like, little 6-year-old, he's like, "When I'm talking, you're gonna be taught looking at me," and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is great,"
Yeah. No, yeah, I
you
definitely
know?
remember, and I mean, even we have some of the older kids coaching. It's definitely they're much more of like the goofy, the wanna be your friend coach. So
Mhm,
that's kind of crazy that he was, I don't want to say intense, but like
mhm.
he
He had, like,
wanted,
a level of expectation,
right,
and
he
it's
had the
like
expectation. He wanted the
yeah.
respect.
Yeah, and the crazy part is, like, those kids, like, loved him for that, like, which is wild to me, like, he just jumped over the, like, goofiness and, like, they loved him probably more for being, like, the tough one, like, he went to school, obviously, at the end of August, and, like, he's getting Christmas presents at the gym from me, like, "This is for Coach Ethan." I'm like, Coach Ethan hasn't been here in 3 months. Not to say that he didn't earn that, but, like,
Right.
that's the level of love that these kids have, and, like, it warms my heart, obviously, because I love him. Like, he's, a great kid, a great athlete, a great coach, but, like, just to have, like, those kids feel the same way, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like the parallel relationships, like, just reoccurring, it's cool to see, and I don't think the goofy phase is bad for the when you start coaching. I think everyone goes through it. I think you just have to learn as those kids mature and they step up, like
Yep.
it's easier to be tough and loosen up rather than to be everyone's friend, and then now you have to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
That's a line that's very hard to manage because the kids don't know any different. They're like, "Well, one minute you're picking me up and you're throwing me around and we're all friendly, and now you're upset because I'm not following your direction."
Right.
So, I mean, even in my preteam, I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, like I start a little like tougher, and I mean by tough, by meaning like, this is what we're gonna do, blah blah, and like, and by the end, like, when we're on the pit days or we're on the tramp, like we're having a little more fun, But there has to be a baseline because if there's not, then you can't you can't refer back to anything. There's no starting point.
Right. Yeah, there needs like you said, there needs to be, like, that baseline level of, discipline, respect, and you can
Hmm.
stray away from that, but
Yeah,
they need to know what's expected of them, even at that age.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna go to a meet like, if they can't pay attention in practice, you're not gonna go to a meet with a million stimulus and things going on and be able to control your group. I think that's really a true sign of, like, a disciplined program, and, like, when you go to a meet and you're like the kids are not to say that there's sometimes they're unruly, but, like, if you're constantly seeing, like, the same kid, like, running over or causing an issue, whatever, like, that's a lack of discipline,
Yeah.
and, like, and that needs to be addressed, but to each their own, I guess, with that.
Yeah, that's true, but I definitely agree with you. I think,
Yeah.
especially at meets when there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts.
Gotta know how to act.
Yeah. Alright, I don't wanna take up too much of your time. I have a couple, like, quick hitters, if
Alright,
you're cool with
shoot.
that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Alright,
This is
number
fun.
1, what's your biggest hot take?
Oh, hot take. What is that like
We
that
can
no
keep
one
it in,
really
like, the
agrees with?
gymnastics realm. What's a hot
Is that
take that
like
you have in
uh,
gymnastics?
okay, but like hot take, are you like thinking like people don't really agree with?
Yeah, something like a hill that you'll die on.
Handstand shaping and men's gymnastics, no one gives a shit about, and I really wish they did.
Okay. I was questioning where you were going for a second. I thought you were gonna say that it, like, doesn't matter, but,
No, I
um
think I think a lot of people don't like, they don't care about it. They don't You'll go to a meet and you'll see this kid, like, chucking, like, this, to pelt giant Dion, and they're in this, like, archy, saggy handstand, and I'm like, "You can do all this, but yet you can't do a hollow handstand." Like, that's my hot take. Like, I will die on that hill that if you can do that, you should have a better handstand.
that's fair.
I don't know.
I
I don't
agree
know.
with that. I mean, it kinda goes back to what we were talking about before, like, your a handstand's the most important skill in gymnastics. It's the most
Mhm.
basic of the
Yeah.
basic. It's theoretically on every event. Like, if you do a
Mhm.
handstand dismount
Oh,
hop,
yeah.
and
I
you'll
Well,
probably go
not
through a
theoretically,
handstand
it
on
is.
vault.
You should, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Like,
I
I
think
just
I talk about this with, like, a lot of the girls coaches at my gym, mostly because they're, like, very technique oriented, and we
Mhm,
talk about, like, how boys can get away with more because they're
mhm,
just naturally stronger, which I do agree
mhm.
with, but
Yeah.
if you, like, even put a little bit more effort into the technique, it's just gonna help you. Like, there's no way
Yes.
a good
100%.
handstand position isn't going to help all those skills.
Well, and that's, like, why for me, like, the handstand position is so important, and not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but, like, I think you have to, like, set your sights of, like, where you wanna go, like, you can teach these kids all these skills if you have a kid that's capable of doing it, but, like, is it gonna look good at the end of the day? Like, everyone's built differently, their bodies are not all the same. Some kids, might have like that interior pelvic tilt or their ribs are flared out. And like you can't, as an adult, you're not fixing that, like so like when they're kids, you have to fix it and then instill in them and like help them shape their bodies to be able to look the part of a gymnast. So I think a lot of people want to skip that and do A, B, and C and D and we'll get it someday. But for me, like that would be, I guess, my hottest take is that you know, handstand, people don't care enough about handstands on the men's side. Um, and I think, yeah, they just are like, well, let's do this. But you could do both.
Yeah, you definitely can do both.
I
Okay,
don't know if that
so
was a good answer, but
no, I like it. It's good.
okay.
Um, on a maybe other side note, what's something you recently changed your mind on?
I would say age of the athlete that you're trying to put on team. For the longest time, we were just, like, right out of my preteen, like, 5 and 6 years old, and I just don't think with the generation of kids that are out there right now, I don't think every kid at 6 or 7 can be on a boys team and make it to their senior year in high school or beyond. Not to say that it can't happen, it definitely can. I have kids that are doing that right now. But I think the generation of like, "Well, I'm gonna go and play soccer and it's a lot easier and I'm gonna do this," like, I think taking your time and instilling the love for the sport, at a young age is gonna ultimately pay off down the road more and keep those kids in the sport more. So, like, when I was younger, I was like, "Okay, you're 6, you can finally compete, like, get on the team, get on the team." And there
Mhm.
were we lo and I lost a lot of really talented kids because I didn't spend enough time making sure they were ready to go to that jump, to jump up the hours of training, to check in with them enough, and I didn't coach the level that they went up to at that point. So, like, another group of people were in charge of them, and, like and just the culture at that time, I'm talking about a few years ago, was not the same. So I think those kids kinda struggled with, like, they're used to me and how I'm doing things, and not to say that someone else can't do the same thing, but, like, I think there was more I could have done with just making sure because of their age that they were transitioning better. So now I don't look at age as much of as I do talent and ability. I mean, I had a kid last year who showed up in January and was like, "I wanna do gymnastics." I think he was 10. He'd never done gymnastics before. He, like, tumbled. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Alright, you" and he could do, like, the base stuff, and I'm like, "You know what? I think you're gonna be pretty good. He'll be okay." He did D2 last year. He did alright, level 3. This year, he won the level 4 D1 state meet,
Oh, wow.
and it's like yeah, and he's on the state team. He's the top one of the top 5 kids in the state in level 4, and, like, he just was super hungry and wanted to do it, and he's a little like I said, he's 10, or no, he's 11. Competing probably as a 12-year-old, but, like, he's got the physique for it, he's very driven, and, like, in the past, I probably would've been like, "Yeah, just put him in a rec class." So, for me, I've kind of not boxed myself in with, like, needing to take, like, the youngest of the bunch, and, if I do have like, my son's the youngest one now, actually, he's the 2nd youngest, but, like, next year, I should have a few other younger ones, and I'm making sure that, like, I'm taking my time, making sure they're ready to go to that, 'cause I want them to stick around, and I kinda learned my lesson in that, I think, of being, like, not being distracted by how old they are and really more about what they can do and what they're capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and it's interesting because I feel like whenever I put a post on social media about, like, how kids don't need to start when they're 6 or 7, there's always
Mhm.
someone, like, yelling at me that, like, "Oh, well, if they wanna be, like, an NCAA gymnast or go to the Olympics, they need to start when they're, like, 4 or 5." And, like, I
Mhm.
actually did some research on it, and it's definitely more prevalent on the men's side, but, like, there's a good amount of Olympians or world championship team members that, like, started when they were 9, 10. Like, Alicia
Mhm.
Sacramone started when she was older, like, older,
Mhm.
I'm talking, like, 8 or
Mhm.
9. Sean
Mhm.
Townsend started when he was, like, 10 or 11. Like, there's a ton of people that, like, start later,
Mhm.
again, quote, unquote,
Yeah.
and still
Yeah.
go to, like, NCAA Division I teams. So, like
Yeah.
and like you said, sometimes they start early at, like, 6, 5 or 6, and, they decide that they wanna go play soccer or football, or,
Mhm.
like, they get burnt out, or sometimes
Mhm. I think that burnout is a real thing because it's like I mean, I know you don't have any kids yet, but there's, like, from, like, a dad perspective, like, I mean, there's so many, like like like, flashing lights almost for these kids, like, "Oh, I wanna do that, I wanna do that, I wanna be on my iPad, I wanna look at this and do this," and, like, the social media aspect, not at 7 you should be on social media, but, there's so many pulls that can pull
yeah,
these kids away, and unless they really love it, like, they're not gonna stick around because it's hard.
right,
You're not gonna decide at 6 that I'm gonna be the one that's gonna do the hardest sport in the world, like, it's just not gonna happen?
yeah,
So it's like you said, like, you gotta like, being aware of that and starting later, I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, I don't think I made team until I was, like, 8 or 9, which is, like, a little older. But, like, I was in the gym, but, like, I think that's the difference. It's like, what are you doing in those lower levels? Like, are you like, what are your trainings like? Like, how are you practicing? Like, is there fun? Is there some fun? Is it light? Like, what's your meet schedule look like? It's like, is it too much of a financial burden or, is the expectations too high? Like, I think you have to constantly adjust those, like, as you kinda go, because, like, if you have the same, like, expectation for your 10s as you do 3s, like, I know I'm not saying anyone should, but, like, in terms of, like, "You can't miss practice, you have to be here," like, I'm always a give and take person. I'm like, the kid parent, like, "Well, Michael has this on Saturday at a friend's birthday party." I go, "Okay, go have fun." Like, I don't
Yeah.
like, they have to be kids. They have to be kids,
Right.
and they have to have that give and take or else there's gonna be resentment. If you wanna get him in for an extra lesson because he's going on a ski trip with his family, let's set it up. Like, I am gonna meet people where they meet me. Like, if they wanna make it work, I'll make it work, but I do truly believe that kids do need that, that time to be kids. Like, it shouldn't be go, go, go all the time, and a lot of these kids, it's like, their days are busier than mine, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "You need to just go play with some action figures, okay?"
Yeah. No, it's true because, like, especially with school, like, they get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, they do 6 hours of school, and then, if they have, like, a 4 hour gymnastics practice or 3 or 4,
Mhm,
like, and then they have homework, they go home, and, like, if they're doing that 3 or 4 days a week, like, they don't have time for, like, friends or family or anything like that, like, stuff that they need to recharge them. I mean, it's the same thing with, like,
mhm,
if they work an 8-hour job and then maybe they have a second job, and then they come home, they make dinner, and then they go to bed, rinse and repeat, like, they're gonna get burnt
mhm.
out too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Actually, one of my kids this year, he made a comment, like, I think he missed the Saturday one of the Saturday practices. Like, we had a back-to-back meet schedule this year, which I don't usually try to do, but he's like, "I went skiing," and I'm like, "Cool." He's like, "Yeah, it was, like, the only weekend I've had off, from, like, the
Yeah,
meets," and I was like, "That's fair." Like, I didn't like, and when I ask, like, where they were, it's just because I wanna know. It's not because I'm like, "Why weren't you at practice?" Which they usually communicate with me, like, when they're gonna miss, like, they're pretty
yeah,
good, like, they'll tell me themselves, and when they don't, that's when, like, I get concerned, especially because like, a lot of them are driving now too, and I'm like, like, "This kid never misses, and he's not here," like, that I mean, that's just my level of caring, but, like, no, it's completely a thing with the burnout and just, like, I'm like, "Go and do it." Like, uh, I need trust me, I need multiple days off, but I don't always get them,
yeah. It's
you know?
hard it's I don't know if it's harder, but it seems harder when you're an adult.
Yeah. Well, I
Somebody
think
else.
so just because well, and you can't and, like, the level of like, I'm the person where, like, I always wanna be there, like, and it's not that I don't think I can take off and everything be fine, I know I can, but, like, I'm also driven too, like, I have my own goals I wanna meet too, you know?
Yeah, gotcha. Alright, last
Yeah.
one because I don't feel like people I feel like everybody needs to brag about themselves at some point,
Oh god.
so I just want one humble brag from you. Something
Oh my god. Dude, you're asking the wrong person.
if you yeah, but this is what I'm saying, like, everybody needs to get out their accomplishments.
Well,
It doesn't have
in
to be huge.
27 I would just say in 2017, I was New York Compulsory Coach of the Year, which, I mean, they kinda just cycle those it's like an up and coming award, which at the time I was very proud of myself for because I had brought in those kids up, which again are now like my juniors and seniors. So that was huge for me then. I got the optional coach of the year in 2023, which kind of was like a I'm here moment in my mind. Like I got this before the compulsory, and now these kids are here still with me, and now we're doing this in optionals. I would just say, like, having a team of level 10s, like, I mean, at the state meet this year, I not to take away from the 10s, but the 3s won, the 4s won, the 5s won, the 7s were 2nd, I think, the 8s were 3rd, the 9s won, and the 10s won. So, I mean, I guess that would be, like, my humble brag, like, I we work really hard to do that. I'm really proud of those kids and the coaches that make it happen, and I guess it would be that, like, I think that's a really cool accolade that many people don't experience, and I really try to not let it go to my head in any way, shape, or form because I work every day for that. Like, we work every day for that. We talk about it. We're like, we wanna win team, like, it's very goal oriented. So, I won't take away from the work that goes into it, but I am very, very proud of that.
I think that's perfect because, like you said, I mean, I asked for a humble brag, and I feel like that's something like that, but that amount of success could go straight to someone's head. But I
Mhm.
feel like you're someone that it's more of a humble thing because you're also crediting the amount of work that goes into it, and it's also not making you complacent. Like,
No.
you're someone that's still gonna go into the gym, Monday after state meet, and you guys are gonna
Mhm.
grind to go to the next step because there's
Yeah,
still
and
regionals,
it's
nationals,
what's
all that
what's
stuff.
actually funny with that is Carl texted me because we won the super team cups, and he's like, "We're really gonna work hard to get one next year." And I was like, "I love that," because I am not complacent in any way. Like you said, Monday, we're back in the gym. We're talking about regionals, we're talking about nationals, we're looking at the numbers for that, how many routines we need to get to at that point. So yeah, it's not like it like just fuels me to do better. Like there's some people that get that or they're at the top and they're like, all right, well, I did it once, like I want to try to stay there for as long as we can. And when we're not there, it won't be other than that there's a team that did better that day,
Yeah,
because we're gonna keep working hard and in gymnastics, it's like you have a fall in it or a few falls and it can just take you out of the all around, and you combine that with, multiple teams or whatever, and it's really who's the best that day. So it's really anyone's game. It's just you gotta be prepared to show up for the game,
yeah.
you know? But yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought.
No, it was good.
No, the humble brag, I'm just not like that.
Yeah, I know. It puts people on the spot because, most of the people I talk to, they don't like to brag about themselves. But again, it's something I feel like I mean, sometimes it's little, sometimes it's big.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it was good. It was like I said, it was better. It was easier than I thought,
yeah.
because I'm like you said, I just make it more about what the kids do, you know?
Mhm.
But
I get that.
no, yeah,
All right. I think that's all the time I have.
okay.
Do you have any humble plugs? Anything you wanna people wanna find you
Not
on Instagram or something?
Well, I've been on Instagram for a while at SGC Bros. When my brother and I took over, that was our handle of our boys team. We took over that. I used to post a lot of drills, and different things, and I've kind of gotten away from it just because the amount of kids that I have and the
Yeah.
coaching, like in my family too. That I got to get home. I get home and I want that to be more my focus. But yeah, if you're ever looking for any drills or want to see our accolades or accomplishments are up there, but definitely gonna try to get back and, get some better content out there at some point. I'm one of those people like when I learn something or I see something that works, like I immediately, put it up because I want to help other people. And,
Mhm.
it's no for no other reason than that. Like I don't check it to be like, oh, who's liking this? I'm just
Yeah.
most of the time I'm like, this drill helped me. I want to put it out there, or I find a drill and I'm like, "Ooh, that's what I've been looking for." So, but
Alright.
yeah, no, that's my only plug right there. We'll
Sweet.
catch you at regionals.
Yes, I think we're rotating in a few sessions together.
Yeah, I think the are the tens together. I think.
10s and I think the 7s. I think you have 1 7
Uh,
that
yeah, the times yesterday because we looked. It was Monday, I think. I was on P-Bars and I printed out like the sheets, and we're looking. I'm like, oh my god, this is great. I go, there's nothing better than rotating with people at a big meet that you like,
Yes.
because it's like there's emotions are high, people are stressed, and then you have like some of these teams that they act like they don't know what's going on, and you're just like you're adding to the anxiety right now. Just follow the plan. And I saw it with you, and I don't remember who the other team were, but I was like, this is great.
Part of the reason why I really don't like regionals because of, like, all the pressure and everything, and I feel
Mhm.
like I always am in a rotation with some, like, stuck-up, ego-driven coach that, like,
Mm.
monopolizes
It
equipment.
just drains you. It drains you. It's
Yeah,
the anger of the equipment thing drives me insane. Or, like,
yeah,
jumping in line, and I'm like, "There's clearly a line. Like,
right,
where are we?" Like but yeah, no,
yeah,
I looked at it, I was like, "Thank God." Well, and we like, my kids, like, we love to cheer for everybody, so that's gonna be a
yeah,
fun Apex SGC cheering sesh for that session.
yeah, I'm excited.
We'll get it loud. Alright, man.
Alright,
Well, thanks. This was fun.
thanks yeah, thanks for hopping on. I'll see you in a
Anytime.
couple weeks.
Alright. Thank you, sir. Alright. See ya.
Later.